Welcome to the Athletes in Motion podcast, from race to recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Kenny, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Tom. How are you?
I'm fantastic as well. We want to welcome back to the show Karelle Laurent of Karelle Laurent Nutrition, who's our certified nutritionist, friend of the podcast. We're welcoming her back onto the show. This is, I think, your third appearance. I think I had you down for
fourth even. Hi,
back
everyone.
in July of 24, right? It was the first time we had you on. So I'm going to put those links down in the show notes, episode 70 and episode 83, where we talked about all of that and went into your background and got to know you really well. But welcome onto the show again, Karelle, and some business first. Everyone, thanks for all the notes and things. I'm actually glad, Karelle, that Portugal has moved itself up into the top 5 countries that's downloaded our podcast. So we're sliding them up little by little.
Amazing.
Which is nice.
She's no Germany,
everyone,
but, you know.
Germany's still up there.
Germany's
still beating you a little bit, but it's great to have everybody listening. We really appreciate you all. Keep comments and feedback coming, 5 stars, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And, you know, if you've got good criticism as well, like we're just trying to improve and make this podcast as good as we can. So keep up that good work. We really appreciate everything. And subscribe to we're on the YouTube channel. If you're watching our beautiful faces on YouTube, or if you're on how you get your audio podcast, it's just about every format, I think, platform out there we're on. So Karelle, welcome back. Happy New Year to you. This is early in January 26th, or actually late in January 26th, already cruising through. So we wanted to chat with you about early season nutrition. So we're transferring ourselves, kind of moving from a off-season workout routine. Some people know workout routine in the off season. So, and people are starting to get back into thinking about it. They're planning their races for the year, or if they haven't already, they're putting some stuff out there and they're starting to think about how they eat, what they want to do. They want to lose some weight. Some people need to get back into healthy eating because they made it through the holidays and just ate whatever, like all the crazy holiday type food. So what's the best advice for them? How do they get started? It's probably the toughest thing to wrap your head around. And this part of the world is cold still. Today it's very cold. And it's how do we get ourselves motivated to do that? And are there any tips and tricks and things that we can get ourselves motivated, part of it, but also what are we looking at to eat? What should we be eating?
Yeah.
That's multiple questions there.
Yeah, but I think I got the. Well, thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure to join you guys. To start the year, I think there's also a lot of expectation, and I think it's really important to start with that, is we just put a huge expectation on doing it all very quickly and perfectly. And I think it's really important to realize that you don't have to eat perfectly from day one of your 2026 journey. So just one step at a time. Say, maybe each week you have one small achievement to tick, one expectation, and it could be, I'm going to speak for me, for my expectation to you guys, but it would be maybe eating whole food first, or maybe, not buying any more refined carbohydrate, not as much, and maybe replacing it with whole food, eating more protein, because what happens is often when we're off season, we just don't necessarily think through to our plates, our beautiful wellness plate, where you really have a good intake of protein. Increasing the protein right at the start is going to help you, if your training increase, to just reduce those cravings that you're going to have very early on. It's going to really help you as well to make sense of that training and to increase that muscle mass, right? That's the whole point. And I think that's a really good start. Making sure you don't skip meals, because you can't start the season with skipping meals. You really need to get that really nice, good routine, good sleep. It's not a nutrition per se, but it goes into the lifestyle. Yeah. And every week you just add a momentum. One more thing. Don't do everything on day one. Don't do the sleep, the protein, the whole food. Some people can.
Make a list.
But let's face it, it's too much.
It's overwhelming.
I'm sure you're working and then you're training. So, probably your parents and, having your own company. So just one step at a time. Perhaps looking into alcohol. I know it's all or nothing with January being, quite famous for the dry January. Yeah, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't necessarily have to just cut down alcohol entirely. You can just be mindful. Okay, I'm still going to have a dinner with friends this weekend, but this week I don't need to have a beer, or maybe swap it for an alcohol-free beer because it's quite nice as well. We have options now. It wasn't like that a long time ago. And just be kind to yourself, exercising and having a life of being an athlete. It doesn't matter your level. It's also a lifestyle. So that gives you the momentum to have your best version in terms of health. And that just gives you an outcome, right? So you just need to be in a better shape to train better, to have your goals this way. I think that's just really important. Think about one more thing think about making sure you eat before and after your training. I think that's what's important as well. We often, and I still to this day have clients who would say to me, oh yeah, I have to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I was, under the conception that you shouldn't be eating because then you exercise so you don't lose weight. No, that's not how it works. Sadly, it's actually the opposite. The more you're going to exercise, I would suggest to make sure you are eating around this session to really make the most of those sessions. Yeah.
And I think that's something that we have this conversation. I have this conversation with athletes a lot of the time. We're talking about like, in order to lose weight, and losing weight and training at the same time is not beneficial at all. I mean, your body will transform itself when you're training if you're eating properly, but you're looking at like, if I want to lose a few pounds before I get started training, you should do it before, not during your training, because it messes things up. And I think people think about like, well, I burn, what is it, like 3,500 calories is 1 pound of body fat. It's somewhere around that number. So you figure, okay, I'm doing a workout and I'm burning 300 calories at this workout. So if I make that same workout more intense, now I'm burning 800 calories, and that's going to get me to my goal faster. But people don't realize that you're not burning the right calories. You're not burning fat at that point because the intensity has gone up. You're still doing it in the same 1 hour workout, but now you're burning carbohydrates and you're burning what could be, muscle glycogen and could be muscle, but your body is now storing fat and it's not burning the fat. So it's not like you can just crank it up, the intensity. So it's having the volume, duration, and then being in the proper zones to burn that body fat that you want, and then have a little bit less caloric intake, because you have to have a negative caloric intake, right, to get this. So how do we manage that? I mean, this comes to my other question.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a really good point. It's not a question of how much, because it's not like a bank account in and out. Our body is much more complex than that. And we tend to treat it as a bank account, but it's not. Having a calorie deficit when you are training, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose weight. The question is, when do you take those calories and what are those calories? Again, it's all over Instagram about, what 300 calories relate to. So you don't need me to explain that in terms of, some whole food and processed food. But what I'm trying to say is, for example, someone's going to wake up, have their training, not eating because you have to go straight into your calls or your work, etc., and delay that window of eating for maybe 2 hours after your workout. There is studies that shows that you actually increase calorie intake by 400 to 500 calories per day later in the day, because your body is trying to catch up those calories. So your body is like, hold on a minute, we've exercised and now there's no calories coming. So you're not actively in your rest and digest in your sympathetic nervous system, saying everything's okay, I'm okay, everything's okay, by getting those calories in. So your body is trying to continue to stay in that state, and then later on in the day, it's like, okay, but I'm missing calories, so let me get them back in, and that's counterproductive. Because you're losing attention, you're losing momentum, you're losing focus, and ultimately it's a huge cause for losing motivation in your training, because it feels so much harder to motivate yourself when you've had such a hard day. So you've had a good session, but you had such a terrible day. You couldn't focus, you couldn't work. So really important is to eat a little bit before and eat after those carbohydrates and protein. And I would even say, the fat adaptation that we also heard a lot about in the last few years, it's fabulous. It works great. But I think that's what you were saying, Tom. It has to be in a certain heart rate and a certain intensity. Sorry, I was looking for my word. It's January, so the words are not coming automatically yet.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
And if your intensity, I always give that example, you go out of the house, it's flat, and suddenly you have a hill. So your intensity increase. Boom, you're out of that fat.
Yeah.
As a general athlete that we are, we're not pro athlete. We don't have that same time to invest in that fat. So for them, it works. And that's when the studies have been based on for elite athlete. We're not all elite athlete. We haven't got that same fat adaptation. So be very careful, people, of doing everything that you hear and say it's great, but who is it for? Is it for you or is it for an elite athlete? We all want to be
and it's elite,
athlete,
and it's elite men is what they do the studies on, which is like
men.
It doesn't match up.
Of like 30 years
less than
old.
1%. Yeah, and that's less than 0.1% of the population at this point is like.
And it's very true for them. It's not always true for everyone. And I'm not saying these studies are wrong. This is not true. It's not always applicable.
Just careful what the study. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Redefine print. Is there, so for people that are on the go, is a protein shake a decent alternative if you can't get whole foods after a workout? Like, hey, I need to get calories in. I don't have a lot of time.
To the workout, you mean, Kenny?
Yeah.
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 I think so. Yeah, some protein are very well formulated, and it's great to be able to have that option. And sometimes a lot of protein powder would have a mix of carbohydrate and protein.
Yeah.
And that's for that purpose. So if this is your protein post-workout, yes, absolutely. And sometimes you would have that chocolate, or you can add some berries, etc. That gives you the antioxidant, right? To really help with that energy, free radical, and etc. So that's absolutely a good option. But also something important is don't skip the next meal because you've had that protein powder, right? Keep going in.
Yeah. Yes. And I
I'm
think
just kind of
that's what
hoping
people
to
skip.
Yeah, to backstop to your point. Hey, I don't have a lot of time. I have to, I did my workout. I got to go back. At minimum, try to grab yourself a recovery protein shake to at least let calories get in, some antioxidants and nutrients, and then the next time you got to get that really good whole grain or whole meal.
Absolutely. And if it's a super early morning workout, you can do maybe some chia seed pudding that you have in the fridge. The goal is not for you to have a feast before that workout.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 tablespoons is enough. The 2 tablespoons is going to allow you to have sufficient nutrient and protein at that moment for your body to be relying on your glycogen without digging into your muscle, because it's not sure when. This active fed state is actually really helpful into calming that cortisol response, right?
Yes.
So sometimes it doesn't really take long. And it makes a big difference when I'm suggesting to my athletes to try. I said, try. You have nothing to lose. You just try for a few days. And they don't come back to being fasted because they're like, such a big difference. I lifted more weight. I felt better on my run. So it has to work for you. It has to be convenient. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that cortisol response thing was key when we put a plug in we did your wellness cycling retreat in Portugal, which I talked about in the last podcast. Was fantastic. We had such a good time, but we learned so much from it as well. And part of that was that reducing a cortisol response in the morning of our wake up higher cortisol, and then eating something, because I normally would go right to a cup of coffee and that starts my day. But I've been using the Bertia, is it called?
Yeah.
Like a pudding type thing that we make. We have that a couple of days a week. We mix that in with some other things, and it's been fantastic. It really has made me drink less coffee, which is shocking. and actually, I think my eating's been better throughout the day because I can have that first thing in the morning. I can have a small cup of coffee, and I can go do my workout. And then I come back, and then I feel post-workout, and then go on with my day. But I'm not sitting here like trying to craving other sweets and other sugary type stuff.
And you know, when we say as athletes, and I would say 90% of athletes would say, I prefer to work out first thing in the morning because it's done and my day, it sends you into a very positive mindset for the rest of the day, right? That's true with exercise, but it's also true with nutrition. The first meal you're going to have will dictate what are your cravings going to be during the rest of the day. So that's why we keep saying breakfast needs to be protein rich, maybe some fibers as well. That's really helping to balance that blood sugar response. If you start with an increase of blood sugar response because you've had, a processed orange juice, or you've had something that was, I'm not going to give example because I don't want you to do it.
Yeah.
That's going to set you in that roller coaster already. No matter what you do after, it's already setting you on that path. So same, you start to exercise in the morning because you want to get the right mindset. Do the same for your nutrition habits and your eating. Focus on that. Just that, bringing that to that focus, that right nutrition approach, and will support your stress response, blood sugar response for the rest of the day.
Yeah. If we could dive into that a little bit, because I do, I do a morning workout, right? And it's mainly, when I get up, I mainly eat carbs, right? I'll eat like Raisin Bran or something and a banana, and then, half a cup of coffee. But I go to the workout. That workout I do in the morning, it's going to be a pretty heavy lift. 2 questions. It's just like, I'm afraid if I'm going to shove too much calories in me that my stomach's going to then take over. And then, so how far in advance should I be looking at that intake before I get ready for that workout?
How far early really depends on the workout and the person. Some people can digest, it depends how, and that's part of the gut training as well. So we can come back to this after. I would say at the moment you said you're having toast and a banana. No.
Yeah, it was just like a whole grain cereal. And then.
Sorry. Yes. But that you're able to eat that before your workout, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm in a calorie deficit when I get to that workout. I don't want to belch yogurt. So, great. That's fun. You. But, and then you're doing short burst workouts, right? It's a lifting workout on that morning. Yeah. Right? They tend to be harder.
You would need some good carbs there for sure, but you need to have slow release carbs, not necessarily just processed carbs. So careful with the banana. It's quite heavy to digest. I found that bananas are usually very heavy, but it's a fruit. So it's a good carbs, but it's already 30 grams of carbohydrates. So it's almost as much as a gel, which is crazy when you think about it. Yeah. And what I would do is maybe do some overnight oats. That might be easier to digest. So you could combine overnight and chia seeds, have a bit of maple syrup, have some blueberries. Exactly. You can even add some protein powder to this because that's just going to have that really good. But again, Kenny, you don't necessarily need to eat a lot. Now, what you start eating is maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons. Half an hour before, 40 minutes before, the same timing as you have now. And then you slowly increase to see how you feel during the workout. Already making the swap in a small quantity. Do you feel better? Do you have a better response? Do you have a better recovery? And then you can increase slowly. But I would make some small tweaks to just have something a little bit more sustainable. Really nice overnight. And the overnight oat, I've got the recipe on my website, but you can have, old-fashioned rolled oat, and it can be something you do for 3 or 4 days. You don't have to do it every night because let's face it, when you just, you probably don't have time to do your breakfast every night. Something I don't necessarily like is preparing the next meal when you are that meal. It's always like you have to anticipate so much all the time. But a little bit of anticipation is quite good because it helps you to be on track. So maybe that's a good swap to try. And you can probably have half of that banana mixed with some blueberries. See how that feels.
Yeah, I think it's a whole banana, right?
Yeah, it's a bonk issue. I think when I'm 40 minutes into it, it's sort of like, now I'm starting.
How long you do? But how long time?
Can you pop a gel?
That workout? Yeah, I was about to say.
That workout's generally going to be an hour, right? And it's going to be high intensity, sort of, compound stuff. Yeah. So I'm getting ready for high rocks, and so then it's a lot of, push heavy things.
So try this. Make the swap see how you're feeling during the workout. If the bonking still happen, you could always combine a little bit of carbohydrate during the workout that you sip in your water. Because that
Yeah, I've
could
been
also
trying to do that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a 120 calorie scratch that I just kind of take with me and see if that kind of
Yeah, the
helps,
scratch is good.
throughout
Yeah.
the, so, and which brings me a good question, because winter, when you guys are talking about nutrition, it's funny. I'm just thinking back, it gets cold. We always eat a lot of more savory sort of pots of stuff, right? Stews and braised things. But the one thing that also that I'm trying to keep up on, I'm doing a lousy job, is around hydration and water, because it's so cold.
It's so hot.
It's difficult
Yeah.
to do that, and the air is dry, so we're getting
Yeah.
dried out because that those heat inside the house is that dry heat, and
Lucky we don't have heat in Portugal.
I know you do. You have a wetter winter type,
Yeah.
like humidity wise, right? In Portugal,
horrible.
Karelle, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
too
we were
humid.
talking about that. It's so dry in here. I have two humidifiers
you
going.
said
Yeah.
that
One
to
in
me.
the
It's
bedroom and
crazy.
one in the front. It doesn't seem to be making a dent. Like her skin's still super dry. It's just like I can't. Like, how many of these do I need to put up in the house in order to try to survive? It's just
Yeah, and
So
so hydration
to
is
answer your-
tough, right? Because of that. Yeah.
It's so hard. And to be fair, humid or not humid, I've got the same. So I just got this bottle because my kids done that too. So sometimes parents learn from the kids. It's actually
yes,
much more helpful to drink in that.
yeah.
It's tough, but you've gotta think that you need to hydrate, and you feel it. You feel it more in the winter because when you don't drink, your lips are, and you're not going to eliminate. So especially for someone who's trying to, January, you don't drink a lot, you're trying to lose weight. You can't lose weight if you don't hydrate. And it's really hard in terms of getting the right level of energy if you're not hydrating properly, because your cell needs water, right? So it's and we all know why it's important, but it's a question of doing it. The goal would be to try to remember to drink 1 glass of water per hour. And that would be ideal. And then on top, you have your workout. It's trying to be able to drink. And you will never drink as much that you drink in the summer. That's for sure. Like, for sure, you can't, because it's not the same automatism, but it's just giving yourself some really good tools to help you drink. So if you go to your computer, think about getting one of those bottles, because you're going to have instinctively the need to drink when you're talking, but then you can't, because you can't leave the conversation. So you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really good point. I think that's the difficult part, is because you're so cold, or you just don't think about it. You're not sweating. It's easy to remember during the summer, right? And to your point, maybe you have to just be more mindful put a bottle within visible. I try to keep a bottle in my car, because I drink the most when I'm driving, because I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I place, you have, same thing with chapstick, by the way. I got six chapsticks all
I
over
have
the
one
place.
every, yeah.
Of what? Chapsticks?
A lip balm. Yeah.
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 Labello?
I have one everywhere.
Everywhere.
If you have
No
chia
bread?
seeds next to you, that's going to be that'll be the trifecta right there.
Yeah.
So,
No, I don't have chia seeds.
no chia seeds? You
just
don't
no-
have seeds?
Lots of chia seeds, just no king.
Oh,
Nut.
here. I mean, I have one in my
You
pocket.
can-
Here's some seeds.
You can do some herbal tea. It's quite nice as well. So for me, I drink better when I drink warm, because it just, it feels more comforting. But I would just barely infuse my tea. So it's like the water has a nicer taste, a bit more of a flavor taste, but it's just a nice organic. So usually I would use the same tea bag almost the whole day.
You could, yeah.
Not that I'm cheap,
for sure.
I just don't need to have another one, and
Yeah.
it still has
There you go.
flavor, just enough for that. So that could also be
That's a
easier
good
to
idea.
drink when it's warm, because it motivates you a little bit better. But rather than putting bottle in different places, is just get a bottle that you can carry. And, you build the automatism. You put the bottle next to your phone. So you're going to take your phone, and somehow the bottle is here. So it will be hard at the beginning, but it will quickly get easier to think about it. I think that's...
Yeah, it's creating the habit. It's creating the habits,
That's
the
the hard
small
part,
little
right?
habits
Yeah.
that, and like you said, think about one thing at a time. Don't.
One thing at a
We've
time.
got quite a list we've gone over today already. Don't try to do everything at once.
Yeah,
You won't succeed.
exactly.
most people have
exactly.
finished what? January 9th is the day that most people have given up on their New Year's resolutions. The 9th
Really?
or something like that. I think that's the day. They only
Yeah.
make it like less than 2 weeks in before they give up because they try to do too much all at once. And
That's it. And it's
creating
the
those habits.
expectations of doing it right and succeeding and etc. And it just doesn't have to be. It's okay.
Well, I think,
The world
you know,
will
you go
still
back to that
spin.
mindset thing, you know, it's kind of interesting because like Sunday, it was, I think, 28 degrees and I went for a run anyway because it was sunny and there was no wind. And it
Nice.
was like, sometimes it's fun as an adventure. Like if you switch your, you know, if you have the proper, you know, I was able to gear up accordingly, right? Get a hat on, get some gloves on. But it's also kind of a fun thing to do because it's sort of like, I'm out here and you're not.
Yeah.
I'm putting in the work and you're not. But it's also just experiencing that different weather and coming back. You get that hot shower at the end, you know, you get a prize. It's sort of that, it's a mind, instead of it's cold, I'm going to shrink and, you know, my couch is very comfy. It's how do I create an adventure out of it? How do I, you know, how do I experience something maybe I haven't experienced before? If I'm a warm weather person, what is it? And I have the proper gear. Again, I keep saying proper gear. I don't want you to go freezing, but
Yeah.
just go see what it feels like.
Yeah.
Maybe you find it's a better workout, or it's a workout that, you know, the run ended up being a really quality run. You know, I'm not sweating as hard. I was able to feel sun, but not necessarily,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. It's just kind of it's hard to, it's easy, I guess, the other way around. It's easy to sit on the couch because it's winter and those are wintry things to do, right? Where getting out sometimes is just like, hey, let's do something that is not normal, not what the human body wants. Let's just go do it and see the fun that you can have in that, the adventure in that, I guess.
Yeah. The mindset is always that if you can change that mindset to I have to do a workout, to I get to do a workout,
I
something as
agree.
simple as that makes all the world of difference. And the best, somebody had a comment, I'm not sure where I actually heard it, but they were like, there's no bad weather, there's just bad improper gear, right?
Yeah.
So you can go out in almost any conditions. I wouldn't recommend going out in every kind of condition. There's ice, there's other things that are bad, but for certainly there's a lot more you could do outside where moving gives you that dopamine that makes you feel better. It just sets your hormones and your system
And
all up.
say absolutely right. And sometimes it's I think we just need to remove ourselves from the expectations that workout has to have a length of time. It has to be an hour at the gym. It has to be 10 kilometers. It has to be, you know, if you have 20 minutes and 20 minutes fit, it's still a workout. It's almost going to be better. And I always have this conversation with clients who are struggling to get back in their routine or etc., where nobody's going to come. There's no workout police out there who's going to come and say, what? You've done 20 minutes and not 1 hour? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, just do, even 20 minutes twice a week is so much better than you can't do an hour. So it's going to take you 3 weeks or months to get 1 hour done. Get those 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's always, you're going to feel better. And the fact that you're feeling better, it didn't really, you know, jeopardize the whole day. And you didn't have to do like going in out big lengths to organize this 20, 15 minutes. It's much more motivation. And that feeling's going to be very positive, staying a very positive feeling in you. So it's motivating you to get to the next workout. So use that momentum of saying, okay, well, I'm just going to go to the gym and do, 5 minutes on the bike just to warm up. And then I just do arm reps and that's it. And then I go back just during my lunch break. And that's it. You probably don't even sweat too much. So quick shower, whatever, then you're fine. Use that momentum, the rewarding feeling to just go out there and do step by step, because it's the same in food. You don't start with a huge recipe that you've never done before. That's great when you have time and you just, on holiday and you want to experience something. Day to day, get into very, very basic and simple recipe that you can reuse all the time. And it doesn't even need to be a recipe. It can just be, just a few vegetables and then some protein and there's something that is easy to replicate, because we are creatures of habits and we won't do something we don't want to do. We're going to do something that made us feel really good. And it's especially in a society where we are driven by the dopamine that dopamine feeling of reward all the time. So get that reward, use that dopamine reward and use that into motivation rather than inflicting some really hard workout that you're never going to keep up.
That you're not going to do again. Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about fueling throughout the day. So we talk about, as I've been explaining it to athletes, and I'm talking to my athletes and others, and Karelle, correct me if I'm wrong, or if there's a better way to say this, is that we talk about that kind of weight loss thing, how we eat, where we eat. We have to fuel for the workout. And I tell everyone to take it into two pieces, right? You've got the workout and you've got the rest of your life, the rest of your day. So approaching it that you need to fuel the workout properly, a little bit before, something during, depending on the length of the workout, and then the recovery afterwards is very important to take that separate from how the rest of the day plays out, how active your day is, and how the rest of that goes. So how do we approach that? Am I looking at that right? Is that the best analogy?
Yes, 100%.
For it? Okay.
Absolutely. So you've got your day-to-day, your routine with your 3 meals. That's your standard routine. For some people, it can be 3 smaller meals with some snacks. I always give a ballpark of a 4-hour window between meals because it's a good window where your digestion is resting and it's not too long of a gap. There's no benefits of trying to stretch these 4 hours into 8 hours. It has more detrimental effect than benefits. Not talking fasting, but just in general. Now, the way I explain that often would be, you've got your meals during the day. We spoke about that earlier. Try to get them as a regular routine. That's important. Again, we have clocks in our body. We need that regular routine. Even if it's one night, it's moving, it's okay. But generally, 90% of the time would be great. And your workout, your nutrition around your workout, it's like putting a bubble wrap around your nice vase or something like that. So your nutrition is going to be your bubble wrap. You need to have some before, you need to have some after, and the during. So we spoke about the before and after. The during, there's 2 things. I'm going to speak about the athletes who have an experience and who already had a fueling sorted, but they had a time over the holiday. Don't start where you were. Start slowly to build yourself in. Because often, January, everyone's going to start again where they were, like 90 grams of carbs. And then you're like, oh my God, wait, it's just not, I can't take it. But that's because you don't start where you were. You start slowly. The same way, if you don't run for 2 months, you're not going to go from out of the door to your marathon pace and going out for 30 kilometers right away. And that's just really important to take it step by step. Increase 10-15% every week in terms of during the workout. So that's how you prevent GI issue, is to really work, write down where you are at, how much do you take? Take it from there. It's your own standard. That's where you are. And then you increase slowly every week, every workout. It's really important to fuel. When you are off season, you can just go for a bike ride and not fuel so much because your body is going to recover from that. There's no problem. It's really your fitness. When you are back into your momentum of your training, you're not fueling for that workout. You're fueling for the whole week. And I often have that conversation with athletes where they're just going to be like, yeah, but I can do 3 hours without. It's not trying to measure your capacity of doing that. We're trying to fuel your workouts so they're not having such a high impact on your nervous system. And also you don't break down muscle. You are increasing muscle. So fuel those workouts. Don't be scared of fueling them because they need to be fueled for so many reasons, to prepare you for the race, to make sure you're sleeping well, and to make sure you're not bonking. That's what's important. I hope I answered your question.
So would you also say if somebody did a workout and then they eat a meal a little bit later, but now they're so famished and ravenous that they're trying to eat all afternoon? I talk to athletes, especially as they start doing some longer workouts, some longer stuff, where they're like, I just can't stop eating. Like all afternoon, I'm just eating because I just can't do it. And my understanding is that because the workout wasn't fueled properly, now you're in this deficit where you're trying to catch up, and your body's not there. So that's what I'm telling people is the key signal of you go out and do a 2-hour ride on a Saturday or Sunday, you do your longer ride, you go out for a couple hours, you ride and you eat a little bit, but you have some stuff, you come back and you eat, but then like an hour later, you're just like, God, what, I'm sitting down to eat a huge sandwich and something else, and then I'm having snacks, and I'm just like, I can't get enough fuel into my body. It's like, well, because you didn't fuel that workout properly, and your body's telling you like it needs more energy. So I mean, that's key, right?
The bubble wrap, exactly. And that's so right. It's fueling that workout, but it's also what type of nutrient are we getting into, or macronutrient are we getting?
Yeah.
What are we eating? Is it only refined carbohydrate? Is there some fibers? The fibers are so important to really buffer that, slow down the absorption of carbohydrate. Otherwise, it's just only carbohydrate. So your body's going to absorb, because you're also training to absorb carbohydrate. So your body's going to do the job you're teaching him to do. Yeah. So get those fibers, get those protein outside to really calm your blood sugar as well. It's a lot thing to think about, but it's not that hard actually once you get into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I've become acutely aware of is that there's not enough fiber in our diets, mostly.
100%.
And you go like, well, I had a sandwich with, or I had a hamburger, or I had something else. And it's just like, yeah, but all of the fiber has been stripped out of the bread, if you're having like the biggest thing I think of is a hamburger roll, right? Or, it's kind of a sandwich roll in that sense. The processed ones, the ones you buy in the store, have no fiber in them. They've been stripped out, and they have
completely,
most of the time, some added sugar to it. So you're not getting fiber. If you're having, French fries with your meal, you're not getting fiber. You're not getting the fiber that you think you're getting, right? So, and that's causing a whole bunch of GI distress for folks that like, the system needs just little pieces. Yeah. And that's where you get back to whole foods, having natural whole foods. If you can get some baked bread that's made locally, baked bread, or bake your own sourdough or something like that, that's going to have some fiber in it. The chia seeds are going to have some fiber. Flax seeds are going to have some fiber in it. Broccoli is great for fiber. There's lots of vegetables and things that you can add. But I'm watching a football game on the weekend, and I'm just watching the ads that roll through, and there are all these chain restaurants that we have over here. And I'm looking at it, it's like, there's not a single freaking vegetable on anywhere.
No.
Right.
And it's sauce.
And it's all this. They have this one
sauce.
place has this extra, they cut the hamburger in half and they put it in a plate of melted cheese. And I just look at it, I was like, and we're wondering why the young folks today are having higher rates of colon cancer. And we're wondering why we have all of this, all of these health issues. And I'm looking at this ad going like, this is the reason why, because this is the crap that people are eating. Like, I get it. It tastes great, but you're satiating, an instant need at the, the cost is astronomical. It drives me crazy. Anyway,
it's the bigger problem that we have nowadays. It's the intake of fibers. So, a lot of you folks would, use those apps to calculate your macronutrients. And I think most people know how much they should be taking it. And it's so always incredible that, people always say, oh, I'm taking this. I'm like, oh, I didn't even ask, but that's.
Yeah.
Now, the question that I often have is, can you look at the breakdown of fibers that you have in your app? I can imagine everyone's doing it now.
Yeah.
And I want you to look at the numbers. And often, I'm not going to share numbers, but I often have, low numbers for athletes. And they're like, oh, okay, I'm taking this amount. We'll say randomly, I'm taking 5 grams of fiber a day. Okay. Now, we should be taking, as adults, across, and this is the same data, whatever it's the US, the NHS in the UK or France, roughly between 25 and 30 grams of fibers a day. The average that American people, it's the same for everyone, huh? It's between 13 and 15 average a day.
Yeah.
So we're very far. So why are people having higher level of cholesterol? Why are we having blood sugar issue? Why are we not going to the bathroom regularly? Why are we having GI issue? This is all those reasons. And there's so many more. Now, fibers, where where do we find fibers? I think most of us, I know, you guys
Mhm.
know, but most people don't understand what fiber is or what it's coming from. So it's everything that is coming from plants. It could be your vegetables. You're absolutely right, Tom. It could be fruits. It could be nuts and seeds. Anything from plants, not animal. Nothing from very low fibers. As you say, they've been taken off from that process of refined food. If you take the example of the orange juice, for example. So when you buy an orange juice in the shop versus an orange that's going to be freshly squeezed at the retreat when you're coming in Portugal, we just squeezing that orange, right? Sounds silly and childish to explain. Everything comes out with the fibers, with the pulp, right? You call that as well,
Yes.
like that in
Pulp,
English, huh?
yeah.
Everything. A lot of kids don't like that, but that's why when you drink the orange, you have all of these fibers that slows down that blood sugar. So why, when you buy them in the shop, it's not as good? It's because it's going to be stripped out of it to use more of the juice because it's better for consumption. So therefore, they don't have any more nutrients, so they're adding those nutrients, and that spikes your blood sugar. So this is why we always go down to whole food. You don't have to press your oranges. Just get an oranges and eat it like that, or with square, but get the whole thing. Blueberries as well. They're going to be fibers in. There's all sorts of ways to get fibers in that is easy. More seeds on your salad. And all of this has this importance of balancing your blood sugar. And I often have that question, are you worried about the fact that we are promoting more carbohydrate during a workout for athletes and they could be more at risk of type 2 diabetes and etc.? I'm not if they are eating a healthy diet. That's the key. That's we don't understand. This is only a few hours, maybe 15 hours a week at the most for athletes, on average, 10 hours. So it's not a lot compared to the rest of the meal that you are having the option of eating. So if you get your fibers, you're not at risk because you are able to offer your body everything that it needs. Now, a very important disclaimer about fibers, don't start at 30 now.
Yeah.
So if you are at 5, don't go to 30 right away, step by step, pace yourself. Otherwise, you're going to spend your day going to the bathroom.
Yes.
And you're not damaging anything. You're not making, you're not hurting your body. You will feel gassy. You will feel like you are relying on the toilet proximity a lot. But really, what are you doing by eating fibers is giving the right food to your microbiome, to your beautiful bacteria. What do they do with that? And that's important to say. They are creating a byproduct called short-chain fatty acid, and they're different one, butyrate, etc. That short-chain fatty acid is reinforcing the wall of your house, the wall of the gut wall. So for people who have heard the word leaky gut or gut permeability, it often is as a result of that lack of fermentation. So if you reestablish a diet with sufficient fibers, progressive, and you will have a healthy microbiome. It's going to help you so much to get to that healthy microbiome. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was really important to say.
Yes, no, we need to. And I think that's part of it based on what we're eating and the process level of the food is whether it gets absorbed in our upper small intestines or our lower intestines. And it's critical to having the food being absorbed in the right spots by the right parts of the body. So that's a lot of science that's above my head, but I totally understand how that all works out. And then that balances the rest of your day out. So that makes you feel better, that makes you work better, that makes you a happier person, that makes you sleep better, and it's a spiral in a good way, right? It spirals up instead of spiraling down.
On so many levels. And I'm really passionate about gut health because it's really the foundation of all our health and all our symptoms, most of our symptoms, whatever it's, winter, depressive symptoms, whatever, which is interestingly, it happens just after we've been eating more, the period of the time that we've been eating more refined carbohydrate, etc. So coming down, what's going on with the microbiome, with our hormones for us ladies, that's really important to eliminate those hormones healthily and properly with everything cardiovascular. And it's really important. And that would be my goal for everyone this year, is to help you all to have a healthier.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. And I think our key takeaways we want to get for everybody here is small changes, just a little bit, creating those habits, our eating habits, our training habits, those little bits and pieces, just to get consistency. Consistency is key. I'll come back to this probably every podcast episode is consistency. Consistency in your training. Nothing's going to happen overnight. But if you go consistently through, in a couple of months, you're going to feel completely different, and you're going to be on a good path to go that way. But start small. Don't expect massive changes right away, but it'll all come through. So I think it's fantastic. Karelle, thank you so much. It's great having you on.
It's such a pleasure. Always.
Another big plug for so you have multiple cycling wellness retreats with Fiona of Paradise Cycling Tours.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough on how great experience it was, that we've got it booked off on our calendar to come back in November again.
It's so exciting.
Because we want to be there. We had such a good time. The farm that we stayed at, the accommodations, everything was first rate. And the food was fantastic. And the country's beautiful.
Tom.
The country's amazing.
It's really nice. It was lovely to have Tom and your wife. It was wonderful to have you guys. Yes, this year we have 3 dates, 7 to 13th of March. We still have rooms available. It's going to be a really nice retreat. Can't wait. And it's beautiful blossom spring. It's gorgeous in Portugal at that time. Yeah. May is on wait list for now. And then we have November again, which I think Tom is coming again. Yeah.
Well, we've got it booked.
In the calendar as well, I've got my very first Nutrition for Performance program starting in end of February. So I do a lot of work one-to-one with athletes, but I was trying to reach people who would prefer to work in a group to feel more accountable as well. And I know it's not necessarily for everyone to do one-to-one work. And I just want to be able to offer that support to many more people across the globe. So we'll just essentially prepare everyone for a really nice season of races. So it starts in February. We'll go through day to day. Essentially what we discussed today, there's 2 or 3 live calls. I need to check. I can't remember. Live calls with me, and it's great. And then the gut health challenge that is in April starting again. We've just started the women's health
multi-week ones where you're going to be accountable and then have the live calls.
You still have me.
Correct.
I'm still going to be joining the call, and we work together. But it's a really nice way for people to have a little bit of me, a little bit of one-to-one when we have the opportunity to do some work together during the call, and then to have the accountability to have the group. Okay, this week, this is what we're doing. This is what we're putting in place. And as you probably understood exactly already, that I'm all about pacing ourselves and not doing all at the same time. So it's I think it's really nice to be able to do that in a group. I really believe in that.
Yes.
Yeah,
some people work really well with a group and like that connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's accountability too.
And the accountability, but it's just meeting other people.
Yeah.
You kind of sharing that with, you see people that are just like you going through the same things that you're going through. Is like, makes it very relatable. It makes it seem like it's more feasible to actually succeed and do that. So I think that's great. It's big foster help. So cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks to you guys. Thank you.
Really appreciate having you on again. Everybody, thanks for your notes and comments and stuff. So like I said, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. You want to get these episodes popping up. We've got lots of great content planned for this year. We've got some really cool stuff. We'll probably hear from Karelle again later in this year because she's a friend of the podcast. We'll go through the different stages throughout the year of some of our training. And any big hot topics that come up. So keep those notes coming, subscribe, thumbs up, 5 stars, all that good stuff helps the algorithm. So we appreciate everybody who's listening. Kenny, it's been great as always. And for everybody,
thank you.
We'll catch you on the next one.